Hey, oh, yes, we are blended. So, who are we? Well, my name's Sophie Mei Lan. I'm a family of five, well, five kids and two dogs in this house currently. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, but you never know what's going to happen in a blended family life. So, what does blended family actually mean? Well, often it's a family of stepchildren, biological children. It's just a big blend of different relationships and kids and people living harmoniously, not together, living a perfectly imperfect life. So, my good friend Jen from Married at First Sight, a relationship coach, counselor, and also a blended family yourself, Jen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for blended families, and they come in all shapes and sizes. When I was a single mum bringing up my children, I had other single mums bringing up their kids, and we would buddy up. And those kids call me Mummy's Ed, which is really funny because they've grown up with me as the other mum, and my kids call the other mums, mummy whatever, still now, and they're in their 20s. So it's blended can be all sorts of connotations. It's whatever that family dynamic looks like and who's in your inner circle and your inner bubble that's important to you and your
Definitely.
kids.
That's spot on. So we'll be talking all things blended family life each week, topics that matter to you, issues you may face. You can ask us questions and we'll theme each week, and certain things that come up because it is a very unique family life. But so many of us live in blended households and we're not talking about it enough. We talk about the 2.4, but we don't celebrate and also kind of share about blended family life. I, like Jen, have been a single mum for many years, and my husband Danny, who's known for his Rate My Takeaway channel, also was a single dad. And then getting together, it's funny because you have your little, I have my single mum crew still.
Yeah.
So they're my little allies still to rely on. And we always shared kids. I ended up having all the kids at my house a lot. And you have this like really close relationship with your logical family, and not just biological. And I think it's such a beautiful way to live, and we'll see more and more families blending. And obviously, Jen, you're the expert as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, Steve and I have only just started living together in the last 2 years. So it's a new dynamic with older children. We've got all the fur babies, which they count just as much as well. And it's sometimes they say it's harder to bring older children together because they've already been established, perhaps in other dynamics and in other blended situations. But actually, it's worked beautifully for us. It really has, and has been a blessing. There are challenges. There are challenges. I've still got the youngest living at home with us, and everyone gets on great until they don't get on great. And you're going to have these little moments of you can't always do what you want anymore. You've got to think about other people. And I think that's one of the things is when you do introduce people into an existing dynamic, an existing relationship, you've got to have those conversations as to what that's going to look like and how you're going to deal with conflict, how you're going to manage challenging situations. Because unless you know how that's going to work, there's always going to be an anxiety of what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? So it's not anything to be taken lightly. In fact, I think it's probably a bigger commitment in some ways. We've spoken about this. Living together is often a bigger commitment than getting married nowadays because it's all encompassing. It is all encompassing. So yeah, I'm really excited about doing these podcasts with you because I think these are conversations that are long overdue. When I grew up, there was the Brady Bunch on TV. She came with her daughters, he came with the boys. It was all a bit bizarre, but we loved it. It was one of those programs different to the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie and everything else, which was what we would class as a traditional family life. But I don't think there is anything such as traditional. Family can take all shapes and forms, and it's how we make it family and how we make it work that's important.
I always say we're a hybrid between the Waltons and Shameless. It kind of
At least you didn't say the in-betweeners.
yeah. Well, to be honest, I'd probably fit very well into the in-betweeners. And that's the other thing actually that we'll be touching on as well, is it's not just the diversity in terms of the kids and the kind of the bloodlines, but also it's when it comes to your heritage, your ethnicity, disabilities. We've got a neurodivergent blended household, and also mixed race as well. And so there's lots of different aspects of being a blended family where you're bringing different cultures on board, different additional needs, and trying to do all this and juggle. It definitely is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Do you find it more challenging when you're dealing with your own personal situations to when you're on something like Married at First Sight, dealing with someone else's situation?
It's always easier to deal with everybody else's problems, isn't it? It is for any of us, because you're looking at it from the outside in without the emotions. You're looking at it with facts, and you're looking at it through your personal lens, not your professional lens, not your personal lens. So when it's to do with you and you're looking at it and it's personal, there's emotions, there's anxiety, there's all of those things that come into play. From a professional point of view, I can do it all day long. It's really easy. It's always, they say it's always easy to solve other people's problems until you have to put the lens on yourself, and then that's always more difficult and more challenging. So yeah, give me anyone else's problems, but sit me in front of my own. I want to run a mile.
And I think that's where it is different, because there's so many different emotions within your own problems and relationships and issues that you do sometimes need someone from a different perspective. And that's one of the positives. It's not just all challenging blended family life. I know Danny and I, we can come from different situations from a fresh perspective, with less emotions attached to a situation or something that's happened. And often that's when we rely on each other to kind of give our advice, because it's like, well, I can see it from what it is. I'm not invested in it from way back when. Do you get what I mean? And that can be really helpful, is fresh perspectives. And it's finding, again, if you're in a partnership, it's also finding that unity, that you are becoming one voice as well, because that's the problem. Otherwise, you can be pitted against each other. So I think it takes a really strong relationship and work on your relationship.
Totally. I mean, that happens in any co-parenting or parenting dynamic. Kids are little manipulators, and they learn to manipulate even, sorry, Athena, even from that age. From very little, they learn to get what they want because it's a survival technique. So what happens as kids get older is they think, okay, this parent's got this chink in their armor, so I know how to get the most out of that one. That one's got that chink, so I know who to go to for what I want, and then I'm going to pit them against each other. And it might be that they're doing it with grandparents, with aunties, with uncles, with whoever is within the dynamic. So I think you've got to always be united and say, well, what does your mum think? What does your stepdad think? What does whoever think? Because otherwise it does create problems. And we've spoken about this before, is that being a team, and as you've said, even if you've got different viewpoints, you go, okay, well, you think this and I think this, where's the middle ground that we're coming together as a team on this to give the right solution for this particular situation? And I think that's the biggest tool I can give people today, is always find that common ground, that united front together, because otherwise these little manipulators will get the better of you.
So true. And finding that time out for a bit of self-care together, even if it's just walking your dogs, if you're crazy like us and have added fur babies, or like with this, we've got a blended family when it comes to the dogs too. We both had a dog to keep us company as single parents. So now we're migrating the dogs together as well. So there's all sorts of topics.
snoring away there.
So we'd love to know if you've got any questions. Please comment below. Anything you'd like us to talk about or touch on, we'd really love to hear. And where can people follow you directly, Jen?
They can follow me at Miss Matchmaker Coach on Instagram. My website is Relationship Retreats, which is for couples, for singles. It's all about relationships. So yeah, I'm quite easily Googleable. I've got one of those names that no one else has got, which a bit like you, Sophie. People can just put our name in Google, and how to contact us is quite easy to get in touch.
Yeah, and I'm at Sophie Mei Lan as well, and that's Meilan, because again I've got a funny name, which is easy to find once you know how to spell it.
Yes, same as mine.
But thank you so much for joining us on Blended, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And we hope you're wanting more, and I'm sure you have got lots of questions, and we'll touch on lots of different topics. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.